It was all right. Wabash Carnegie Public Library Oral History Program, interviewing Roland J. McDaniel Sr. at his home, 188 Manchester Avenue. Now we're going to start all over again after a bum start on that tape, Mick. Now we'll go back all the way to the beginning again and tell me about your mother and father and your grandparents and so forth, and a brief description of your early life and date of birth.
Date of birth was June 20th, 1899, and I was born in the home of Edward and Nancy Alice McDaniel at 635 North Wabash, or 635 North Allen Street. And my father passed away when I was 6 weeks old, and he was stricken with a heart attack while working at the Wabash Bridge Works, which now is the General Tire and Rubber Company. Prior to that was the Service Motor Company, and prior to that was the Wabash Bridge Works of Wabash, Indiana.
Tell me about your mother's parents, and specifically the grandfather.
My mother was Mrs. Alice Colbert, and she was the daughter of Jesse Colbert, and my grandmother on the Colbert side was Nancy Colbert. And soon after my father died, my mother and grandfather, Jesse Colbert, lived together for the remainder of his years at 635 North Allen Street.
What was his background?
His background was one of the Civil War veterans who was one of the early settlers moving from Pennsylvania to this area. And when he moved to the location, which was at that time 635 Allen Street, it was very much of a wilderness, and there was very little activity outside of some agricultural activities in this part of the country.
You told me that as a young man he enlisted in the Civil War.
Yes.
Did he tell you stories?
He used to reiterate numerous experiences that he'd had at Vicksburg, and his activities clear down to the southern part of the United States during the Civil War. He'd been over at Gettysburg and had numerous experiences, and had also met up and was with a group from Wabash and also in the area near Somerset. And that group was quite active way back when the Memorial Hall was used as a meeting place for the Civil War veterans.
Yes. Did he live a long time, and what did he do?
Yes, he was 91 years old when he passed away, and he was employed up until he was 75 years old with the so-called Big Four Railroad Company as a station, a flagman for the Hill Street crossing on East Hill Street that led on down into Stringtown, as they called it at that time.
You told me that he lived to be 91 years
91 years old.
and died in 1926.
Mm-hmm. He was in the hospital.
Yes, I think that's remarkable for the long life that those people had. And your father's parents, now, what did they do? Your grandpa McDaniel and grandmother McDaniel.
I didn't know anybody of my grandparent. That's the grandfather. As far as I knew, he passed away when he was in Ireland before grandmother come to this country.
Where did you go to school in?
At the Century School on Manchester Avenue.
And when you finished grade school, where did you go?
To the Wabash High School down on West Hill Street.
Did you work as a young man? Your father was gone. Did you have a job?
Oh yes, I worked at the Beitman Wolf grocery store to work my way through school.
Could you describe the job and what the store looked like in those days?
Yes, it was. I worked in the grocery department, and we had a grocery on Miami Street, and at the north end of the store, the shoe store was in between the ready department, ladies' ready department, and the clothing department was on the west side of the building, and upstairs was the ready-to-wear ladies' department.
How much did you get paid in those days, Mick?
As I remember, when I first went to school, I think I got $6 a week.
Do you remember Harder's Opera House?
Sure do. Remember when it burned.
Tell me what kind of productions and so forth went on at Harder's Opera House when you were a young man in high school, grade school.
Well, I'd have to do the thinking. Because at that time I was busy in school and busy at the store, and I didn't have much time to do any theater going. But I think most of the activities at that time was burlesque activities up there.
At the Opera House?
The Opera House.
And what would that consist of as compared to today's burlesque?
Oh, it was much more in the music realm. Some acting, not a whole lot.
Do you remember when it burned?
Oh yes,
What was the big fire?
it was quite a fire because the store that was adjacent to it was consumed, and one of the stores that was part of the Opera House on one side was a store. I was trying to think who owned that business arrangement at that time, but it was consumed.
What did you do then when you graduated from high school? That would have been around 1918.
About 1918, yeah. Well, it was. I graduated from high school, and the very next. Well, it was yet in the early fall that I joined the Army.
Mm-hmm. What branch were you assigned to,
Well,
and where did you go?
I was assigned. At the time, I went to what was called was the ARST, I think it was, and I went down to DePaul University and signed up for the Air Force, and was ready to go to San Diego for training when the armistice was signed.
And then what did you do?
And I come back to Wabash and started to work at the old service motor truck company.
What were your duties at Service Motor Truck?
Well, when I first went to work, I was in the shipping department. Then I got into the stock handling, and then into finish assembly.
You know, I interviewed Irish O'Brien. Was he out there at that
Yeah.
time? And what was he? Did you get to see him much?
Oh,
or did
yes.
he would have lived on Stitt Street, so you
Yeah.
possibly, as kids, would have known each other.
Oh, yeah, I knew him.
Did then you stayed with Service Motor Truck for how long?
Oh, let's see. I think soon after that, I went to work for Minneapolis Honeywell.
What year would that have been that you went to work for Honeywell?
Well, now let me think. Because I worked at Honeywell for 44 years,
And you retired what year?
1965.
Yeah. You retired in '65. You'd be 1921.
About 21.
Yeah.
Because I'd been, right after I got out of the Army, I worked in Indianapolis for about 6 months with an electric contractor down there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to Chicago with the American Radiator Company
Mm-hmm.
for about 4 months. Then I come back and went to work at
Honeywell. Well, let's say around 1921.
Mm-hmm.
How did you happen to get a job at Honeywell?
Well, the instructor, the wood instructor of the high school was acquainted with some of the fellows at Honeywell's, and they had found out that through him, they had found out that there were several fellows going to be available, and he wondered if I wanted to go to work for Honeywell, and I told him I was interested, and soon after that I got a job to work at Honeywell's.
Would this wood instructor been Rex Sims by any chance?
No. His name was Radcliffe,
Radcliffe.
little Irishman.
Yeah. Well, you went to Honeywell's, and did they have an employment man or anything at the? Where was the plant located in 21?
Well, the plant that I went to work before was the Honeywell Heating Specialty Company,
Mm-hmm.
which was located on Wabash Street on the west side, diagonally across from the fire station.
Mm-hmm. That'd be about the middle of the block there on the alley.
Yeah, well, it was on the alley.
Right. That's I believe right today in 1972 that building is empty. Am I correct?
Yes, it is. Right.
Well, you went down and went to work in 1921, and you're the earliest employee that I have interviewed as to where the plant was and so forth. Did Mr. Honeywell hire you, or what was the understanding that you would go to work, or how did it work?
No. Mr. Honeywell, at that time, a gentleman by the name of Phil Lobb, was running the generator department. And he wanted somebody to help with some of the stock, and they were getting ready to take inventory, and I got to use I got to do the first inventory in the generator department, counting the castings.
How many were working there approximately, do you remember now?
There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people.
Well, you've got the names written there. Great. Why don't you tell me who the 6 or 7 people working there? Now, of course, Mr. Honeywell was...
Yes.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
Mr. Honeywell was the co-owner at that time. Harry McNamee was an owner. And Joe Teague was an owner.
Mm-hmm.
The three of them run the Honeywell Heating Specialty Company.
Mm-hmm.
And there was Miss Martha Hoppert and Miss Walrod and Mary Walker, who later was Don Rudebaugh's wife,
Mm-hmm.
Harry Callaghan,
How do you spell that?
Calligan.
Callaghan. I never heard that name before.
Well, he was, at that time, he had just recently started to work. They had the regulator department had been opened up, and he was in charge of the regulator department.
Mm-hmm.
And Ed Vigas was in the thermostat department.
Go ahead.
And Phil Lintner was working with Mr. Lobb.
Mm-hmm. Was there, I've heard this so many times, and who was in on the development of this and so forth, was this man Tillman, was he there at this time, or had he already left, or?
No, he wasn't, as far as being actively engaged in the work activities.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew that he was available.
Yeah. I didn't know what his relationship there.
I think his relationship was well, we would say developed or assisted develop the temperature regulating activities.
Did you ever meet him, or
I've never met him.
did you ever see him, or?
No.
No.
But indirectly, my brother-in-law, by marriage, was his uncle. And he lives in Kokomo at this time.
The brother-in-law does?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is,
he married Ethel's sister.
Yeah. He didn't work there at Honeywell then?
No.
Yeah. Was Mr. Tillman a local man? You hear so much about it.
He must have been.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've looked in here to see if they've got very many references of it, and I didn't find practically anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember when it came up and we were discussing this
Book?
transition that Mrs. Hipskin made.
Mm-hmm.
They brought it up and somebody asked if it wasn't Tillman that was involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
And by knowing the background of the situation, I told him that he was the Tillman that was part of the connection with Mr. Honeywell, who either bought or otherwise acquired the patents.
Mm-hmm. But there's no trace of the man, so I'm assuming that he's...
I think he passed away now, frankly. I think he was the gentleman who passed away possibly 5 or 6 years ago. He had been living in Chicago, and he moved back to what now is Pleasant View Nursing Home, and passed away out there.
Well, the early employees, and you've given me that list, and your first job was to count the generators' castings for inventory.
How well I know.
How much did they pay you to start?
I would just guess offhand that probably $10, $12 a week.
Had you known Mr. Honeywell prior to this at all?
No. I soon began to find out when I got down there and working. I began to get acquainted with the whole background, because the house almost directly behind my home here is where the Cook home was, and this Phil Lobb and Mr. Honeywell put the first heating plant in that building. And Mr. Honeywell was the, if you wanted to call it the engineer, he was the plumber, and Phil was the assistant plumber. They put the heating plant in, and it had a generator in it. That time they didn't have any temperature controls, but the generator was part of the heating system.
Did Mr. Honeywell, was he extremely active in the business there every morning? And,
Oh, yeah.
And how did he dress, like a businessman or like a plumber?
No. When I first got acquainted with him, he was more of a executive, if you call her a businessman. Let's call him a businessman at that time. And it wasn't very long after he and Mr. Teague and Mr. McNamee got the generator situation moving along. That was a Honeywell Heating Specialty Company that William Huff moved in because we were just getting ready to start the so-called temperature control division, and the motors were developed by a company in Chicago called the Karras Electric Company. And they made the motors and shipped them down to here, and we assembled the thermostats. That's where this Mr. Ed Vigas entered into the picture, because he was responsible for the thermostat division of the temperature control item.
What were you doing during this period of time? What was your job?
I soon after when the regulator department was started, I went to work in the regulator department, assembling and testing spring motors and gravity motors. And in between extra time that I might have, I worked up in the thermostat department.
Were you still on the side of the hill on Wabash Street then?
And another chap that was working at that time that I remember, his name was Houlihan.
What did he do?
He helped Mr. Vigas with the thermostat division.
And
I still think he's around town here.
Houlihan?
Yeah, I saw him not too long ago.
Would that be a man they call Hap? Of course, white-haired man.
Yeah, he's white-haired.
I'll bet that's Hap.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah. He retired from Honeywell's or General Tire, I don't know which. Then his wife died, and he lives by himself. I'll give him a call.
I'll bet you he's the one.
I'll bet he's the one. Well, tell me what happened then. You got a steady job, and
From there on, after we discontinued the Honeywell Heating Specialty Company on the side of the hill, we decided to buy the so-called old mill, flex mill.
That was located where?
Down on the south side of Canal Street.
And did this move, did that involve much or not?
Yes, that was the beginning of the Honeywell Heating Specialty Company.
Well, you moved down there, and did employment enlarge?
Constantly.
Constantly. And what were you building? Were you building anything differently than what you've described to me?
We started building temperature controlling equipment, and we still run the generator department for a period of, possibly, I expect as much as eight or 9 years after that. We still built the generator unit, but we went ahead with a gravity motor and a spring motor to actuate the heating plant, and then we started designing our own thermostats, and from that on we just grew.
Did Mr. Honeywell still taking an active role in the business?
Oh, definitely.
Is the business is expanding? Or are you being sent out? Or are you staying in the plant? Or no? I knew some of the men were sent out to handle some of the local.
I went out to. We designed a fan for hot air circulation, and I went out on several installations of that activity, because one of the experiences that I had was I went over to Lorain, Ohio on my first experience and met Mr. Wise, who built the Wise Furnace Company heating plants, who lived on at Lorain, Ohio. He was living there at that time, and Mr. Honeywell and he had gotten acquainted down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And he gave Mr. Honeywell permission to install a fan in his own cottage on the lake there.
Mm-hmm.
I went over and made the installation.
Mr. Honeywell had a cottage at Lorraine?
No,
Mr. Wise
Mr.
did.
Wise.
Yes. What year are we in now when we're talking about this? Are we into the mid-20s, 25, 26? Or later than that?
I expect it might have been, it must have been a little later than that, because that was about my first real experience that I had an occasion to meet and get acquainted with Mrs. Olive Honeywell.
How did that come about?
Well, she went with Mr. Honeywell over to Mr. Wise's house. He was invited, or Mr. Honeywell was invited over to Lorraine to take a look at this installation that we made. And Mrs. Olive Honeywell went along.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time I'd ever had acquainted to really get acquainted.
How did you go? By train or car?
Drove a car.
Yeah, your car or Mr. Honeywell's
Mr.
car?
Honeywell drove.
Yeah.
I went over on the train, and then they come over with a car. I always remember that experience because one of the locations which Mr. Wise had sent him out to the house to take a look at the installation, and how he ever got confused, I never knew, and he never expressed himself. But he got off, he come down the highway and crossed the railroad track, and for some unknown reason he drove down the railroad track to one of the bridges that was across the river, and Mrs. Honeywell got him stopped just as he got ready to go out on the trestle of the bridge.
Well, maybe you were lucky you weren't riding with Mr. Honeywell then.
Well, but I happened to had dinner that night with Mrs. Honeywell and Mr. Honeywell and Mr. and Mrs. Wise.
You would have been a young man, less than 30 years old.
Oh, yes.
And here you are sitting with the head of Wise Furnace Company and Mr. and Mrs. Honeywell. And how did the conversation evolve?
The thing that always impressed me was the well, maybe I was misinformed in those days, but the thing that struck me most forcibly to find somebody like Mr. Wise and Mr. Honeywell being so friendly with an employee.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember what the dinner conversation revolved around?
Oh, it mostly, at that time, was around the activities of Mr. Wise and his furnace business, and the ladies naturally were concerned about Florida and the activities at his location on the lake there.
Mm-hmm.
But we were at the Lorraine Hotel, and I was quite caught completely when I was invited to come have dinner with him.
Mm-hmm. That would be quite a highlight for a young man's career.
It was, because in those days, I think more so than it is now. I don't mean that facetiously either, but in those days, an executive your first thinking was that you'd eat the crumbs,
Mm-hmm.
but you wouldn't be permitted to go sit down at the dinner table with them and have dinner with them. When they called for me to come and have dinner with the group, I was out in the foyer. And I just couldn't imagine that they were looking for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a compliment to your ability as a young man, and I feel that it's a great compliment to Mr. and Mrs. Honeywell to make you feel part of the business. And
from there on, you begin to get an entirely new perspective of MC, and as the time wore on, you could appreciate what happened, because I can vouch for that definitely. There wasn't, for a long, long time, that he couldn't call everybody by their first name in the plant.
Mm-hmm.
He could down to the plant and call them all by the first name, the ladies and the men both.
What did the employees call Mr. Honeywell?
Well, some of the fellows in the engineering department called him Mark, and so on. Most of them called him Mr. Honeywell.
Yeah.
In other words, he was much respected, if you mean, because of the fact that he was Mr. Honeywell.
What happened to the best of your knowledge, what happened to Mr. McNamee and Mr. Teague, who were his partners then?
Well, Mr. McNamee lived in Indianapolis for it must have been 10, 15, probably 15, 20 years.
Yes.
In Minneapolis.
Did they, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but did they retain this financial interest in the Honeywell?
For a long, long time.
And both of them did?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Teague lived in Wabash for quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, the property that's just north of the old Jones property that the church down there bought, Teague lived in there until it burned down.
Mick,
In 1927.
how about the merger of Honeywell with Regulator and Minneapolis?
Minneapolis Honeywell?
Right, to make the corporation.
Yeah. That was, the merger had been in the making for quite some time. When Mr. Honeywell and Mr. W.R. Sweat were together at one of the shows in Chicago and in New York, the conversation evidently was sparked. And he had two sons, H.W. and W.R. was his two sons, Charlie and H.W. And it was decided that W.R. wouldn't become too active in the merger, so he assigned the job of coordinating the merge with H.W., who at that time was being groomed for president of the Minneapolis Honeywell Regulator Company. And Charlie was going to be the sales manager of the Minneapolis Regulator Company.
Well, how did this to the best of your knowledge, how did the merger take place? And you were telling me about the first time that you saw Mr. Sweat and your part in the...
That was when H.W. come down to take a look at the Wabash operation. Mr. Honeywell met him in Warsaw, and he'd come down from Minneapolis to Chicago, and from Chicago down to Warsaw on the Pennsy.
Mm-hmm.
And you could appreciate if you remember Mr. Honeywell and his appearance, meticulous appearance as an executive. When H.W. come down the street with him from, he had driven his car down to the location where the Wabash Cabinet Company location was on the east side of Wabash Street.
Mm-hmm.
When H.W. got out of the car and started walking up the street, and MC, in his particular appearance as an executive, and H.W. with his suit wrinkled and he had a soft slouched hat on, cocked on one side of his head, walking alongside of Mr. Honeywell. He certainly didn't look like, as I told him in the letter that I wrote, little did anybody from Wabash at that time ever expected him to be the president of the Honeywell, Minneapolis Honeywell Company, or the Honeywell Company, before he passed away.
What was your particular duty relative to the merger with Honeywell and Minneapolis? You had something to do with a letter that you had written or was told to write, or was this
You mean?
That you told me about relative to the merger?
This is the letter that I wrote was requested by Jim Bender, who at that time was the president of the Honeywell Company,
mm-hmm.
for Mr. H.W.'s 80th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And he had written out about, I would say in the neighborhood of probably 30 to 50 letters
Mm-hmm.
to people who were acquainted with H.W. and asked him in a casual way to indicate your thinking of what we could reminisce back and remember at the time of the merger. And that's when I wrote this memorandum, which was most impressive to me, was how different H.W. Sweat looked when he came down the street with MC.
Mm-hmm.
With MC as meticulous as he was, and straight, and Harold happy-go-lucky. His suit was wrinkled, his hat cocked on one side of his head, and he had been sent down to take a look at the Wabash operations before they got ready to make the merger.
What happened after the merger? Anything?
Well, from that on, everything started expanding very rapidly.
Mm-hmm. And then any other products that you can recall went into production? When did the glass blower come on the scene, and why?
Well, that's when that was actually, that happened before some of the merger had taken place.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, we bought up the thermostat company of Elkhart, who was making the contactors for the thermostats for the thermostat company at Elkhart, and they were making the contacts, or the little glass blowing types contacts at Elkhart. And it was transferred down here to Wabash, and that was when we put the glass division in on the second floor of the building on West Canal Street, and started building contactors.
Who's the overall plant foreman now that you're expanding and everything? Who has come to the top as the working supervisor of the plant?
Of the Wabash plant?
Yes.
McLaughlin.
McLaughlin?
Yeah.
I'm talking about back in the 30s now?
Oh, back in the 30s.
Yes. Or 20s. Well, when you moved down to the plant on Canal Street, who comes to the top as the plant supervisor?
Well, the superintendent of operations at that particular time was...
Paul Shivers, had he...
No, he was the engineering department. Kenneth Roby.
Kenneth Roby, yeah. What's the research and the development, to the best of your knowledge, in this period of time?
Well, we started developing our own line of motors, thermostats.
Yeah.
HW got involved in that, or not HW, but Paul Shivers was the engineer on most all of the motor applications at that time.
Yeah. What's happening as the plant moves into the Depression? What's happening?
Well, we got everything that everybody else did.
Mm-hmm.
In other words...
Nothing, huh?
Well, no, we kept running because... we got down, I would say, to 75 people at the main plant on Canal Street. And as a matter of fact, MC got the idea that if maybe we could make shaving cream and one or two other items on a cosmetic basis. So the Phil Magner at that time was a chemist, and he was the one that began to develop the shaving cream and the other items that we did for the cosmetic field.
Did any of them click?
Well, no, it didn't. What you'd call click. We had several places that we had contacts with arrangements made to start trying to make a material which would be marketable. But before that happened, we got back in production again, and we wasn't very long after that we started into the government activities in the war.
Now, what is your career? What turn has your career taken as you move out of the Depression and into the wartime economy? What are you doing?
That's when I got involved in, as I was both active in purchasing to a certain extent, because I was doing most of the government buying, and I was also acting as a liaison between the government and the Wabash division.
Does this involve any travel at this time, Rick?
No, some some activities between Wabash and Chicago, because I used to go up and see General Campbell, who was general of the area that covered this whole area of operation for the Army.
What's Honeywell's employment now? Has it grown by that this period of time? Has it grown
Oh,
considerably?
yes.
What are you up to by this time?
Oh, we must have, at one time when we were running all of our government operations, we must have been up around 500-600 people. We were making the reticles, which we used in the telescopes, and we were making the reticles for 3 or 4 other operations that were being made in Minneapolis and in Chicago, and we were furnishing the reticles and shipping them to Chicago and shipping them to Minneapolis, and we were also making the lenses for all of that kind of equipment in our glass division at that time.
What happens when the war is over then? What do you do when World War II ends? What do you...
I ended up in the purchasing department and was there from then on.
Who were you working for? Or were you the purchasing agent?
I was the purchasing agent, and helped with some of the purchasing at Chicago, and at that time we started our damper department for the and the register department, and we had an operation in Akron that were making damper blades, and that was soon transferred to Wabash. That's when we put in the operation down at the Bottle Talbert's building there across the street from the Honeywell plant on Canal Street.
Looking back, how about some of the people that you worked with? How did you get along with Paul Shivers?
Wonderful.
Jim Ebbinghaus, of course, was Paul's son-in-law.
Yeah, he hadn't gone to work quite yet, but he wasn't long afterward.
In all the years, you had a good relationship with all of you.
And it doesn't follow that
You worked at
particularly.
Honeywell.
But
Contrasting.
pardon me.
Yes. Good. What happened if you got sick when you first started with Honeywell?
Well, I would say when it was the Honeywell Heating Specialty Company, which was Mr. Honeywell's operation, it was, you couldn't ask for any more cordial appreciation than they gave you. He was very, very attentive and very thoughtful of his employees.
Were they pretty safety conscious in the early days?
Yeah. Yeah, when we began to expand sufficiently, Kenny Ruby soon had a safety organization organized. See, at that time, our sales staff was staffed by Fred Mudgett. Whether you remember him or he was long before you, I expect. We picked him up from the Service Motor Truck Company, and he was our sales manager.
Did he have salesmen traveling out of Wabash, or
Mm-hmm.
and who were?
And, I don't recall who all might have been, we had an operation at that time. We were furnishing oil burner equipment for half a dozen companies out of Chicago and also out of New York and also out of Detroit.
How about vacations back in those days?
They were very generous. I remember when Honeywell had was 2-week vacation, then it got to 3-week vacation, then I was operating on a 4-week vacation several times before I retired.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember when the company union was formed? The in-plant union? Or would you have even had anything to do with that?
I didn't have anything particularly to do with it. The reverberation of it I remember very distinctly because we had what was called a company union.
Mm-hmm.
And it had functioned quite satisfactorily. And when they began to talk about federated union, the pressure got on quite extensively, and we tried to do a selling job to convince them they were going to hang themselves
if they went to a national union.
To a national union.
Who in your mind? Who in your mind was instrumental in having you sell the company union? This wasn't something you dreamed of, was it?
Oh no.
Had this come down from Minneapolis?
Minneapolis had 2 or 3 different unions up there, and they'd had plenty of trouble. I know one of the fellows that was involved in the union up there that I'll always remember him by name. His name was Carlson. And he got involved in the union and was overheard in a conversation, and somebody cold-cocked him with a ball bat, and it proved to be fatal.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, he finally lost his mind, and
this was at Minneapolis?
At Minneapolis,
yeah.
And he finally passed away because this fella they used to have some pretty rough times up there.
Who was the, why did this policy or theory evolve that they wouldn't have good relationships if they went to a federation or a federated union or a national union? Do you think that was spontaneous, or was that a policy from Molesworth or?
Oh no! You mean trying to convince them that
that they should
that a
stick
company union is the best
better.
thing?
Yeah,
definitely. Everybody was.
It
we
was.
had them practically sold. The only thing the union executives from Minneapolis kept encroaching more and more onto us until they finally started the propaganda down here, and they sold them on the idea that they were going to get anywhere from $5 to $10 an hour for their work, and when they had to work 3 or 4 hours a day, I know it was a beautiful picture they painted.
Mm-hmm.
But they soon found out about the first 6 months of the union as an operation, and they weren't making as much money as they were before, and they were in trouble continually.
Yeah. Did you think there was any hard feelings after this union business was settled? Between management and labor, or between different groups of labor even?
We had, as a matter of fact, we got called on the carpet by the boards in Washington 3 or 4 times.
For what specific reason?
because we were not living up to the agreements.
Uh-huh. Were you involved in any
No,
of these?
I wasn't involved in any of it because I wasn't even a union member.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I was in the executive category, and we couldn't get in.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember, Mick? Were you still working there when as they referred to the Freeport gang came? Were you
Oh,
there?
yeah.
Yeah. What was the
Yeah.
what was the feeling then? I mean, your personal feeling first of all. What when the group from Freeport came, Bob Ensler and those men?
Well, like anything else, I began to wonder what. But when the chap that used to be the plant manager, he was Bob.
They came from Freeport.
Yeah.
Ensler.
Yeah.
Ensler.
Bob Ensler.
Bob
Yeah.
Ensler. Yeah.
He and I got to be very, very close friends because I got acquainted with his son,
Mm-hmm.
whom he was having considerable difficulty with.
Mm-hmm.
Bob was,
Mm-hmm.
because Bob had some ideas, and his son had his ideas, and they would clash every once in a while. And there were several times that Bob was quite concerned when Bob got off on a tantrum.
Did you feel that possibly they would close this plant or something at that time?
No, I don't think I've ever felt that they would close the plant. The nearest thing I think to having a closing situation develop was when we started building cases for the recording equipment for the Brown Instrument Company.
Mm-hmm.
And we were making the cases for them. And their inspection department and our inspection department didn't get on a mutual plane, and they started checking some of our parts that were going over to Philadelphia and rejecting them and sending them back, because I happened to was sent over to see if I could ferret out what was happening and what actually had transpired to cause the situation. And I thought for a while, because they had transferred possibly 50% of the production of the cases from Wabash to a place in Massachusetts, and were buying them up there. And I took three of the engineers and a couple of the inspectors up to Philadelphia, and we went through into the situation to find out what was wrong with the situation, and found out what actually was causing the friction was the fact that the drawings which we were working with, and we were building the cases according to the drawings, were not the drawings which they were inspecting them by at Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody had crossed the thing up someplace along the line, and the inspection department was checking the Wabash cases by the drawings from this outfit up in Massachusetts.
Did you feel at that time that this was about the low point of the plant, that things
Yes.
didn't look too bright?
Yeah, because we they got, well, we were having quite a bit of friction
Uh-huh.
until we got over there and began to route this thing out.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 2 or 3 pretty good-sized meetings over there.
Mm-hmm. Did you always
And
feel that there'd be a plant here?
I think there will be.
Mm-hmm. Good labor relations?
Mm-hmm.
Good relations with the community?
Well, yes. It gets a little shaky sometimes, but by and large, I think they're pretty well respected in the community.
Mm-hmm. Anything else that you have to comment on your career at Honeywell? Or any funny incidents, or pathetic, or sad incidents, or happy times? We're always glad to get to work.
Oh yes, I wouldn't have worked 44 years if I hadn't have enjoyed it. I can tell the world that.
Yeah. Did you feel that the pension plan was adequate and satisfactory?
It hadn't been, because I had the good fortune of being on the executive staff where I could get more information and more results than some of them otherwise did.
Hmm.
But I thought we've had a very fairly friendly relationship with Minneapolis all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they began to pull a lot of it out and taking it to Minneapolis.
Do you remember Mr. Honeywell when he was more or less working on the community center and then not as active in the business as he was in his civic responsibilities?
Yes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I don't say it facetiously, Kim, but I literally worked with Mr. Webb, who built the community center.
Mm-hmm. How did that come about?
You mean that?
The fact that you would be working with this Mr. Webb.
Well, he was the contractor with whom Mr. Honeywell had built had all his own personal work done,
Mm-hmm.
and Webb was responsible for the designing and building the community building.
Did he were you in purchasing at this time? Did he turn the purchasing and so forth over to you for the community center also?
I bought, as I've often said, I bought it down to the powder puffs in the powder room.
Anything unusual that Mr. Honeywell demanded in that community center that you can think of now?
Oh yes, it's unbelievable. The people that made the drawing, Strauss at Fort Wayne,
Mm-hmm.
never could appreciate the circumstances. They just never could understand Mr. Honeywell under any circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Because he get the drawings, and the next time the guy was down here with Strauss to check the drawings, he wouldn't even recognize them.
Mm-hmm.
He'd have it all changed, and if he'd make a trip someplace and see something different when he made the trip, he'd come back and change the drawings and have the thing all changed. And maybe they'd had it designed with the stairway over here, and maybe he'd have the stairway built over there, and never changed the drawings or anything.
Mm-hmm. Did he have any unusual request for you as far as purchases that you can remember now?
Oh, we had a lot of experiences all during the war because we couldn't buy what we were supposed to buy. Thank goodness I had a good friend in the area in Minneapolis who was connected with the government.
Mm-hmm.
And he worked with me quite closely. And several times he come down and told us some of the situations we were going to be confronted with because the government had so much in the way of restrictions on that because of the war at that time. I remember one particular day that he called me and wanted to know if I'd be in, and it was imperative that he get see us in the next hour or two, and he come in. I don't know how he could get a hold of Mr. Honeywell. He was in Florida. And he said they're going to take all the steel beams that are going to be put in the gymnasium, and they're charging out to 2 or 3 other Army demands. And he said, we got to work fast in order to see what we can do to get some changes made quick and get them in here. And he said, you don't want to leave them out on the where they can be seen. Mm-hmm. So he said, is there any place we can take them to hide them so that somebody going through won't see them and notify the government and want to take them? Mm-hmm. And he said, we've got to have them consumed by a certain time or we're going to lose them. Mm-hmm. So we got Mr. Honeywell on the phone and told him. So Miss Walrod was on the phone with us. And the stenographer taking down the information. And I remember distinctly that he told us that we'd have to hire whoever and how many we needed to build the south walls and the north walls up where we could put the beams, lay them on there to get them out of the way, mm-hmm. so that they can't confiscate them. Mm-hmm.
And that's the way she stood.
And that's the way we got busy, and we hired brick masons, and we got the building up to where we could lay the beams on the floor in order to save the material. We did finally lose the deck for the roof. An operation in Detroit confiscated that. Then we had to figure out how we was going to put a roof on it.
Did in the early days, Mr. Honeywell, did he ever give you a little bonus or anything?
Oh, he didn't like to call it a bonus, mm-hmm. but you got generously taken care of.
Usually at Christmas time. Yeah. We're going to skip around here for a couple minutes before we conclude this. I think I'm running your voice down on you, mm-hmm. which I notice happens. We all run out of volume. I ask you a question. How about the Depression? Did that affect you personally very much?
No, I considered myself extremely fortunate. We went through the Depression, never lost a day.
You worked right straight through the Depression. Never a cut in pay? Never a cut in pay?
The only cut in pay was when we had quite a few people laid off, and we at that time we were running a commissary among the employees, and we'd give a day's pay to buy material for the commissary to send out to the people that were unemployed.
Yeah. How about the Ku Klux Klan? There's very little written about it in Indiana. Did you join?
No. I knew one of the key people that was.
Why didn't you join?
Didn't have any occasion to.
Yeah. No one pressured you or anything else?
George Biggerstaff's brother was the
I-
big shot.
I had heard that on other conversations.
That I knew George quite well.
Did you?
I knew he was, when he'd tell you what was going on, he knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Because George and his brother was quite close at that time.
Do you remember any of the parades or? Were you active in church for all your life, Mick?
Yeah.
Where?
Wabash Street Methodist Church down here. I was a charter member.
Charter member of the
My
Wabash?
mother was a charter member when they built, as a matter of fact, believe it or not, and again, not being facetious, but our kitchen
Yes.
is the remains of the church, Wabash Street M.E. Church, before we built the church down here.
Oh, really?
There was a little red house that was here, and what's left of it is my kitchen.
Do you remember when they built the church down here at the corner
yeah.
of Wabash and Stitt? Yes.
And the man that I bought this property of designed the church and designed the parsonage.
Who was that?
Seidner, Obadiah Seidner.
I'll be darned. What positions have you held in the church over the years? Besides contributor and parishioner.
A little bit of everything. On this one down here,
Have you seen much change? We're just talking here. Have you seen much change? Have you felt much change in the church over the years?
well, yes. I think maybe I was a little more closely allied to some of it than some of them were. And I ultimately found out some of the things that were happening that were causing some of the difficulty. That was the operation of the World Council of Churches in New York.
Did that upset you?
No, at that time, because I wasn't affected too seriously, except due to the fact that you hated to see some of the money going to the being channeled through that area.
Would you say that would be a general feeling of the older parishioners rather than the younger people?
Oh, not only older parishioners, but some of the newer ones.
No.
I had well, you probably can, maybe it would be back when you might have still remembered. Do you remember when the boys used to run the, what is now the Midwest Insulation Company, when they were making cornstalk
No, it was before
insulation?
my time. No, it was before my time.
A fellow and his brother that was operating that ended up, he left here and went to not Minneapolis, Winona, and operated that plant up there for quite a long while, and then he went from there to Cleveland with the Barrett Insulation Company, and he became very closely allied with the Rockefeller Church in Cleveland, who was sponsored by the Rockefeller people. And he was sent to New York along with 5 others to participate in a meeting with the World Council of Churches. And he went, and on the way back, they stopped here to see us. And he told us what their experience was and what they decided to do when they got together, the 5 of them at the hotel, drew their conclusions. And they were terrifically shocked because of the communist infiltration that was there. As a matter of fact, they called the bishop of the area at Cleveland and their pastor. And all 5 of them were on the phone together and verified their feelings that when they get back to Cleveland, then on and after, the day we call from New York, that we don't know of any more World Council of Church money going to New York.
What do you think the biggest change in your life has been? Let me put that question another way. What event or what particular discovery or invention do you feel had the greatest impact on your life that you can remember most vividly? Do you remember the first radio?
Oh yeah, I should.
Why?
I built it.
You built it. Where was it?
Paul Chivers and I built it.
Yeah. What was it? Just a kit? Or,
We built it down at the plant. I always remember it because you couldn't forget it. We built it down at the plant, brought it up here, and we installed it up here in our west bedroom, put it in the window, and we found a receiver, telephone receiver, and hooked it onto the unit and found us an old horn like they used to use on a graphophone and mounted it on that receiver and put it up here in the window. And we had people from as far over as North Miami Street coming over here to find out what was going on. Because it was quite plain, and it was WLW, what do I think of it now? KDKA.
KDKA, yeah, that seems to be the one
Pittsburgh.
everyone can pick up. Yeah.
And we had people in the whole neighborhood, I'd say a radius of 10 squares that had heard it. They couldn't believe it. When they come over and seen it was a piece of plywood, we'd mounted all the trinkets on it, the circuits and whatnot on it, and had broadcasting it on a loudspeaker, because you didn't think about a loudspeaker being used. Most of them had earphones. And we had that going. I remember a fellow by the name of Lem Jacobs, that used to be our inspector, lived over on Miami Street, north of the high school, about 5 or 6 doors. Come over, and we had some people down on Maple Street that was up here.
They could hear the radio all the way down
Yeah.
there?
It was unbelievable when you hooked it on one of those metal horns, how it would carry in the air.
Yeah. That is amazing. What year did you get married, Mick?
Gee, I don't know.
I thought we'd have this for the record. I'll take a guess. 1924. You've been married 50 years?
No, not quite. Have we? Let me stop and think a minute. No. I think we got about 3 years to go.
Yeah. 1924, 1925.
Right in there because we had our 45th wedding anniversary out in California, and my son and daughter and their families took us down to the Ponderosa for dinner that night.
Great.
And we're just about due for very long getting a 50 year.
What was your wife's maiden name?
Fiat.
F-I-A-N-T. And children you have?
We had 2 boys and a girl.
And they live?
We've got, no, wait a minute, we had 4 boys. We lost 1 boy. I've got 1 in Fort Wayne, I got 1 in California, and the daughter's in California.
So you have 2 boys and a girl.
And a girl's living, and the other boy passed away.
Early age?
Yes, he was about 18.
18. I talked to Phil Magner. You know Phil real
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah?
And of course his boy died at just in the flower of manhood. And it's a rather touching.
Oh, it is. It's tragic. I remember when it happened.
And what was it, an accident or?
No, he's in the Army.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he was in Majima.
Yeah. Oh,
He's
he
the
was
guy that
in.
helped put that flag up.
Oh, he
Did you
was.
see? Yeah.
Was he in what branch of the service?
He was in the Army.
In the Army.
Yeah, and he was in the Majima, and he was helping put the flag up.
Yeah.
And you see that picture that they have?
Yes.
The fellow putting the flag up?
I've seen the memorial at Washington. Yeah.
No, that's it.
Yeah. He was 18. That was quite a shock to all.
Yes, it was. That was. You couldn't believe it. That's all.
Yeah. Would he have been the youngest?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was the youngest of the family. Yeah. And the children live scattered around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Most of his immediate family, though, now is all located in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Phil Jr. and Moritz. And then she had some relatives who were heavily involved in the dish, and I don't like to call it crockery.
That's a good name for it.
Well, it isn't exactly. It was a dish. She was of, or some of her ancestry was Bavarian, and they had sent her a lot of Bavarian china.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, you probably have seen some of it down in the Honeywell displays down there. She had a lot of it in there.
Right. Where's the son that was killed during the war? Where's he buried? In Wabash here?
No, I don't believe that he is. I don't know whether they brought him back.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember.
Have you enjoyed pretty good health all your life?
Fine.
Good health. No problems? Never missed much work?
Never missed much work.
Never got caught cold or
Oh,
broke your bones or?
No, I've been awfully fortunate not to have any broken bones. And I've never had a great deal of surgery.
What do you do to keep busy? I notice you're busy all the time. You gotta
Well,
almost make an appointment to see you.
I try to keep, I've made it a point, now maybe I'm wrong in doing it, but I've made it a point to keep occupied mentally. Because I watched so many of the fellows who had aspirations and what they had in mind, what they wanted to do when they retired. And they had certain things that they wanted to do and was hunting and fishing and something like that to keep them occupied.
Mm-hmm.
And you can name over 10 or maybe not quite 10 or 12, but you can 8 or 10 that have followed that trend are non-existent.
Wasn't a very good program, was it?
Well, it was tragic in most cases because the fellows really were sincere.
Yeah.
That was their
goal.
Their goal.
Yeah.
When I get to the place where I can retire, I want to go fishing and hunting and enjoy it.
Do you get up early now or not? Do you allow yourself the luxury of an extra hour or two sleep?
About 6:30.
6:30.
Used to see. I worked up until April of this year.
Doing?
But well, when I quit work, I was at the tool rental.
Uh-huh. So you've been active.
Oh yeah, I
Great.
stayed active until various places around in businesses around here until in April when my brother-in-law's wife passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And I got permission to go over in southern Indiana or southern Ohio to the funeral and wanted to stay a few weeks with him if I wanted to be with him.
Mm-hmm.
So we went over and they had hired a fellow over at the tool rental to work my place. And Milt said, now if you want to take a little vacation, now's the time to do it. Well, he's available. And I was over there about 2 weeks and a half. And when I come back, I had some work I wanted to get done here around the house that I hadn't taken care of.
Yeah.
I just forgot to go back to work.
Well, I don't blame you. You've worked long enough.
So I haven't been back since.
Well, I think that's great.
But I started work when I retired, the Carter Cement Block Company warehouse we had down on, not too far from the not the burger chef, but the dairy bar, or Dairy Queen.
Mm-hmm.
We had a warehouse down
Right.
lot. And then I went from there to from the Carter Cement Block. I was there about 18 months, and I went to work for the aluminum center.
Mm-hmm.
I worked there for about a year. Then I had an opportunity to go with the Wabash Electric. I worked there for about 18 months. And then I was going to go to work up at the Huntington Ready Mix. Then changed my mind and got another made another connection. And then after I got through that particular point, I went to work for Milton Grog over at the Wabash
Tool rental.
Tool Rental.
Yeah,
I was over there for about a year and a half.
well, that brings us up to date. Now, it's really been a real interesting and.
But I find, as I was saying before, I watch so many of the individuals that have had unfortunate circumstances, and some of the people that I called on, or they called on me when I was purchasing agent, that had the same experiences with their family, or with their fathers and mothers and whatnot, with their retiring. And the one thing that sold me on the idea is you've got to keep mentally alert or you deteriorate physically.
I think it's good philosophy. I think it's a good philosophy.
Because if you don't stay mentally alert, you can deteriorate awful quickly.
Well, Mick, we've been going at this thing for 2.5 hours, believe it or not, and I
don't
found
think
it.
we accomplished very much.
Oh, I found it most rewarding, and I appreciate your help. And
Well,
you've told me several little stories about Honeywells and Mr. Honeywell. That I really appreciate that, and this is part of history now. And
he was an unbelievable man. To my way of thinking. If I could be as well thought of as he was, I think I was quite a character.
well, I think that's.
Because he was lots and lots and lots of people condemned him, but they didn't know what a lot of the things that were happening behind the scenes. He was unbelievably generous. Lots of people got rewarded and got financial aid and whatnot. I never knew where it come from.
Well, I think that's quite a tribute for, after all, you did work for them 44 years, and I feel that anyone that can go with that feeling, why, there must be something good and wholesome about the.
It was a good company to work for.
Good. I think I'll just close the interview. What do you think?
Suits me.
Yeah. George Dingledye, interview.